some bad news. I knew it. I love when he does that.
Well, once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So good luck, okay? Good luck.
You say rock bottom, but, like, it just seems like things keep getting worse. What is rock bottom? Who decides what's the bottom of all this? I mean, seriously, you go, okay, today is Friday, and I woke up in Cleveland, and I'm going, how much worse can it get?
Oh, yeah, baby. You got to make your mind up.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 278 of the Hoots podcast. It's your boy, Joshie Lopez. a.k.a. the nefarious Brother Adam. The one and only Brother Adam. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Lopez Media. Make sure to hit me up on Instagram if you like at Joshie Lopez 94. That's Joshie Lopez 94 on Instagram, or at Josh Lopez Music if you want to see me do some guitar covers. Please do me a favor. If you're listening to the podcast right now, make sure to either subscribe or smash that follow button, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you get your podcast from. And if you're on there, especially if you're an Apple Podcast user, leave us a rating or review, 4 or 5 stars. We want an honest feedback. It helps expand the reach of the show, and more importantly, me and Brother Carter can gauge your interest and your feedback on what you like or don't like about the podcast. So we do appreciate the support. We are 22 episodes away from reaching 300. 300 is the countdown to 300 continues here on the Hoots podcast. Thank you for the support. I appreciate all the good brothers who listen to the show every single week, like Sam, Chris, Nate, Mike, Pat, their OG supporter, Patrick Fritz, B-Rob, referee Tony S. The list goes on and on. I appreciate the support, you guys, and it means the world to me that you guys care about what I have to say about wrestling. I try to bring something different to the table than the norm of today's wrestling media culture, and I really pride myself on bringing just a genuine, authentic point of view. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you for taking your time or your schedule to hang out with me. This is a back porch feel type of wrestling show. We don't do a lot of talk about rumors and innuendos. This is a general back porch conversation. I want you to feel as if I'm sitting next to you and we're talking about the world of professional wrestling. So we got a lot to get into. One last thing I want to plug before we get to the Q&A segment this week. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. Your boy's been busy. I've been doing around 16 shows a week over the last, 5 or 6 weeks. And G1's been going on. I'll be giving my report for that. It's week 3. And we're almost reaching the home stretch of the tour, man. I did a show this morning from Hiroshima, and we got a lot to discuss, man. So if you ever want to see any of my transcripts, go check out ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. I think MLW is dropping their big Fightland show tonight, which I'll be covering as well. So be on the lookout for that. Impact has a pay-per-view coming up this weekend called Impact Knockouts Knockdown. It's an all-women's pay-per-view. So I'll be doing that as well. So the grind doesn't stop out, nor do I want it to. So you can do me a favor, please bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. All right. We got a potpourri of questions this week. CNN is back, folks. Chris, Sam, and Nate are back at it again. They sent an awesome batch of questions this week. I think this is one of the best, collection of questions that we've gotten on the podcast over the last couple months. So I appreciate you guys for sending me questions this week. As always, you can participate in the Good Birds Q&A. All it is that you can ask me about wrestling, sports, mental health, relationships, life, anything you want to know about me. You can send me a question at Josh Lopez Media or email me, thehootspodcast@gmail.com. Pretty simple. You can ask me whatever you want. No topics are off limits with the Good Brothers Q&A. And this is my favorite part of the show because I get to interact with you guys and tie into some stuff that I wouldn't be able to fit into the other segments of the show. So let's do it, shall we? All right. Let's start off with the good bird, Chris Zaletta, XTeamZaletta24X on Twitter. Make sure to follow him there. He's a great guy, great person to interact with on social media. So hit up Chris there. Okay, what up, Oos? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. Looking at how Justin Herbert has performed so far in a season and a half in Tua, should the Dolphins be feeling regrets passing on Herbert? I think for me as a sports fan, Chris, this is just my way of looking at things. I really don't like doing the hindsight 2020 thing because anybody can do that to the cows go home. I live in the city. Everybody knows the drill. Oh, the Bears should have went with Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. I believe context is more important than living in 2020 hindsight, and we all live in regret with the decisions we make. I wouldn't say regret. You learn from the decision. And, yeah, things haven't worked out for Tua so far. I feel bad for him that he has this injury injury-prone label attached to them, but the draft is such a catch-22, man. Like it's not a nuanced science. Some of these picks work, some of these picks don't work. You don't know what it is with coaching situations, the personnel, the injuries, like I mentioned earlier. There's so many different variables that go around that's just more than, okay, Dolphins are idiot for passing about Justin Herbert. Nobody knew what Justin Herbert was going to be, and I'm happy for his success in LA, but I just think for me, I really don't like to dig into that 2020 hindsight thing, because what are you getting out of it? Learn from your situations. Don't sit back and be like, well, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done that. What are you going to do about it going forward? That's the way you should look at it. All right, next question. What matches are you interested in seeing with both Raw and SmackDown new rosters? Great question. I figured I was going to get a lot of draft questions this week, so I would, when you guys see the description of the podcast, I hope you guys see it so you can follow a lot of like time stats and where to follow along where the parts of the shows are. I make it detailed so you guys know where they are, but for those who get confused why I don't really talk much about the draft or the WWE segment, I'm going to try to attach it more onto this segment because I got a lot of questions in the Q&A. So just in case anybody's confused, I'm just going to address more of my thoughts on the draft here in the Q&A than the This Week in WWE segment. I'll tie it in somehow, some way. But anyways, there's a lot of matches I'm looking forward to. And I think my overall takeaway for the draft this year is that I really think both Raw and SmackDown had a fair outcome as far as who went from where and why. I see a lot of the scuttlebutt about SmackDown kind of missing out on big name main event talent. I put this out on Twitter the other day. I just think people really need to realize that SmackDown is so driven by Roman Reigns and this tribal chief character that SmackDown is his show. And I don't know, maybe it's because he's banking on possibly The Rock showing up at WrestleMania in Dallas that they don't need. And realistically, right now, do you honestly believe anybody who got drafted or would have stayed on SmackDown would actually take the title off of Roman Reigns right now? Like, would you honestly believe that? I don't think so. And I don't think Roman Reigns should lose the title way past WrestleMania this year. The guy is the best performer in the industry today. He's doing the best work in the WWE. And it's his island. It's his show. They don't call it the island of relevancy for no reason. So I didn't see a point where people are like, oh, SmackDown's going to be lost without main event talent. It didn't matter who's going to go on the show. They're all going to lose to Roman Reigns anyway. So, but there's a lot of matches I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing Roman. Speaking of Roman, looking forward to him and Drew McIntyre. Looking forward to him and Sheamus. I want to start off with SmackDown, then I'll go to Raw. You got the tag division for SmackDown is insane. You got New Day, Usos, Viking Raiders, Hit Row, Angel Garza, and Carrillo's new tag team, right? There's a lot of good stuff there. That's a good tag division. For the ladies for SmackDown, I've never seen Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler, so that should be a fresh matchup, I think having Toni Storm on there is a good thing, keeping her on the brand. Toni Storm against Shotzi Blackheart. Shotzi Blackheart against Sasha Banks. Toni Storm against Shayna Baszler. Natalya against Toni Storm. I think SmackDown got a pretty good squad for the ladies. Also, Xia Li. I can't forget about her. She came up from NXT, so she's going to be implemented there as well. Really quick, as far as other ones that got drafted, Cesaro against Sheamus should be fun again if they get into a rivalry or maybe they reunite their team. There's a lot of good ones. Let me scroll down the list here really quick. Nakamura and Sheamus. I've never seen that one. That should be a lot of fun. Ricochet against Roman Reigns. It's possible. Hey, if Montez Ford can have a match on SmackDown with the Tribal Chief, so can Ricochet. Rich Holland against Cesaro. Rich Holland against Sami Zayn. Rich Holland against Roman Reigns. Rich Holland against Sheamus. That's another guy. So I don't think SmackDown really got it that bad when it comes to younger guys or their mid-card, if you will. I don't think it's really that bad, actually. Drew Gulak, now he's away for the 24/7 stuff. Maybe he get some more serious programs and stuff. That'd be cool. So those are ones that stand out there. For Raw, you got the got the juggler there. I mean, you still got Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair still in the same division, so we've seen that already. You got Austin Theory. I think Austin Theory in a match with Rey Mysterio would be cool. Let's see if Austin Theory finds a tag partner along the way as he starts his journey on the SmackDown, on the Raw brand. Man, Big E against Randy Orton. We haven't seen that yet. Big E against Edge. That'd be cool. Edge against Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens against Riddle would be awesome. You still got Bobby Lashley there. You get Bobby Lashley and Keith Lee in a program. Hopefully that'd be cool. Edge, I mentioned Edge and Kevin Owens. Seth Rollins and Big E as a program. I know they've been fighting each other on the house show loops recently, but I think Seth Rollins and Big E would be a pretty cool match, right? And then that's a great question, guys. I mean, hell, I go back to SmackDown because, I mean, look at Hit Row. Who wouldn't want to see Swerve Scott versus Nakamura or Swerve Scott against Ricochet, Cesaro, the Tribal Chief? There's a lot of them. I could go on and on about this for hours, but there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, Finn Balor and AJ Styles, are they a tag team? Do they fight each other? Let's see. You got, for the ladies, you still got Alexa Bliss on the roster, so Alexa Bliss against Becky Lynch would be cool to do that again. Now the roles are reversed. So there's a lot of options to go around with that. So those are the ones that stand out the most to me. Next question. Who do you think will make the most of the opportunities with the new rosters? That's a great question. I really do think this is a good opportunity for Kevin Owens to regain some momentum on Raw. I really do. As far as SmackDown is concerned, this is a great opportunity for Rich Holland to make a name for himself, even a bigger level than whatever he was going to do in NXT. I think for him on SmackDown, it's a good option for them to have him there. I would like to say Shayna Baszler could capitalize on having a really good run on SmackDown, depending on how things shake out. You can have Shayna finally have a program with Charlotte. You can find a way where Shayna Baszler is probably the steal of the draft besides Kevin Owens. So if I had to pick two people who have the best runs in the new brands, I'd say Kevin Owens for Raw or Seth Rollins as an honorable mention. And then for SmackDown, I'll go with Shayna Baszler and Drew McIntyre. So that'll be my answer to that question. Which show do you think Asuka, Bayley, and the Dakota Kai shows up on? End up on. Sorry. I say Bayley stays on SmackDown. I'll go with Dakota Kai on Raw, and then Asuka will be on SmackDown. So those would be my picks there. Good question, though. I'm curious to see where they go to, especially Dakota Kai. She's very good. Do you think we'll get babyface Sami Zayn back this year? It's an option. I love what Sammy's done on television. He's one of the few undercard guys that's just a funny gimmick. You could relate to him. Everybody knows a Sami Zayn in their life. They know somebody who believes in conspiracy theories and stuff like that. As stupid as some of these conspiracy theories are, I can't believe people on this planet believe that the Earth is flat. But that's another show for another time. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Sami Zayn as a babyface. I wouldn't have a problem with that. That's a good question, though. Do the Yankees need to make a change at manager? Yes, they do need to make a change at manager. Yes, I know Aaron Boone's had the history with the team, and he had the walk-off home run against the Red Sox in the 2003 Championship Series, but, yeah, things are not looking good. It's crazy to think that the Yankees, with their track record and their history and all the titles they've won, don't you kind of feel like the Yankees are kind of becoming the Dallas Cowboys of baseball? I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on that. Okay, next question. What is going on with a trip down Capville? Well, Christopher, one thing with the Hoots podcast, I like to keep you guys on your toes. So I never said that a trip down to Capville is going to be a permanent weekly thing. It comes up when it needs to come up. So I'll just say stay tuned to what the hell is wrong with AEW, and you never know when it pops up or when it doesn't. I'm glad you like the segment, though. I love it, too. Trust me, just because there's weeks where I don't mention Cap stuff doesn't mean there isn't hyperbole and a bunch of stuff like that regarding AEW on Twitter. It happens every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Who do you think will be in the tournament fields for both men's and women's King of the Ring and Queen Crown tournaments? And who will come out as winners? Okay. That's a great question. I got to put on my fantasy Booker hat on, my big ass head. Man, I got not ego-wise. I literally got like a big size head where I don't even know what the size of my hats are. That's a big for another time. Anyways, I want you guys to jot this down so you guys could keep hold to it. Okay, so this is what I would do. I'll say 8 people for both tournaments, okay? This thing's supposed to end in Crown Jewel, so I don't think it's going to be some elongated tournament where 16 people for the King of the Ring and 16 for the women. I could be wrong. We'll have to see how this starts, because I think they said that the King of the Ring tournament is starting on SmackDown tomorrow, so I'll have to be able to look out for that. So this is what I'll do, okay? Okay. For King of the Ring, I got to put Corbin there because he's the last King of the Ring winner. He just has to be in there. I'll put in Xavier Woods, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens. That's 4. Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley. 6. Man. I can't put Seth Rollins because this guy's probably with the Edge. I don't see him on there. Man. Nakamura, does he get on there? I'd say Nakamura. Okay, so I got for SmackDown, it's Corbin, Nakamura, McIntyre. That's 3. And then, oh, man. Corbin, McIntyre. Well, let's put Sheamus there. Okay, so McIntyre, Sheamus, Corbin, and Nakamura for SmackDown. For Raw, we'll go with Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, Xavier Woods, and let's see. Let's look at the draft here so I can find somebody to get that final spot. Would it be something if Karrion Kross got in? I would like to put Damian Priest, but I think with what's going on right now, I think they would want to have the King of the Ring have guys that don't have championships right now. So this is where the approach I'm coming with this, okay? I'm going to go with Cross. Yeah, so this is what we'll do, okay? For SmackDown, we got Baron Corbin, who's the reigning King of the Ring tournament winner. You got Nakamura, King Nakamura, right? You got Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. And then for Monday Night Raw, you got Kevin Owens, Xavier Woods, Bobby Lashley, and Karrion Kross. So there you go. And then for SmackDown, not for SmackDown, for the ladies, for the Queen's Crown tournament. For SmackDown, make this simple. We'll go with Toni Storm, Shotzi Blackheart, Shayna Baszler, and Xia Li. No, Natalya again. I think Natalya deserves a spot in the tournament, so she'll probably be fourth there. And then Raw, we'll go with Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan. I can't put Rhea Ripley's champion right now. I'll go with Liv Morgan, Selena Vega. I think Carmel's going to be in there too. I could be wrong. We'll have to see. I think Carmella may find her way in there. And then I have a hard time figure out the women's field more than the men's when it comes to this tournament. But I mean, you can pick out the litter out of any of these ones. There's a lot of good options. So I do think Selena Vega will be on there. Let's see. I say Bianca, but she's already fighting for the title. That's the thing. With the changes for the draft and everything doesn't take place until after Crown Jewel, right? So that's why I'm kind of being cautious of what angles and stuff I would go after that with, because I don't know what the field of the whole landscape is going to look like after Crown Jewel. That's kind of interesting, You know what? Let's have Mia Yim take the final spot on Raw. Have her debut, have her compete in the Queen's Crown tournament. That'd be cool. Introduce her to the Raw audience, and she was in the Mania Classic before, so I think that would work too. So there you go. Little fancy booking strategy session there with Joshie. Hope you like it. So I want to thank you, Chris, for the questions this week. Awesome job this week, as always, my man. I appreciate you. All right. Next, here on the Good Brothers Q&A section, we're going to hit up the Good Brother Sam Kyopo at Second City. Sam, what's up, my man? He says, here we go. Do you think the decision to start Justin Fields moving forward was a Matt Nagy decision, or was it forced with somebody above him? Well, good brother, I think it was a decision above Matt Nagy. I think Matt Nagy's so set in stone in his system and the whole BU thing and where he comes from and all that jazz. It's one thing when your job is on the line and you have people above you that can force hand, as opposed to what you would do when you have nothing to lose and you have free reign to do whatever you want. So do I believe that Matt Nagy wants Justin Fields to be the starting quarterback going forward? No. I think he would rather see what Andy Dalton does, and we all know where that would go. So I think it's more of a decision from above more than anything. I don't want to believe that he's making the decision because he's getting outside heat, if you will, from the national media. It's really something, if you're a head coach in the second biggest market in the United States and you're allowing media members and snarky people on ESPN dictate what you do with your football team. But I could be wrong. Who knows? I do think there was a decision from above him. I'll say that. But that's a good question, though. Next question. With David Montgomery out, are you worried the Bears may abandon the run? I think it depends on how things go with Khalil Herbert. You know, Khalil Herbert's our rookie running back that we got in the draft this year. He's been returning kickoff returns and stuff like that. Damian Williams has been a good free agency pickup for the Chiefs over the offseason. He had a good game last week against the Lions. I like our running back group. It sucks that Tariq is not back yet. It looks like he'll probably come off IR in a couple weeks. We'll have to see how – we have to get an update sooner or later on where he's at because him coming back could be a good thing for the team. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I think right now – I don't think they'll fully abandon the run, but will you see as many run plays as there were last week with the Lions? I don't think so. But also you have to figure in that Justin, now he's the quarterback going forward, right? He'll have his opportunities to make scrambles and do his quarterback zone reads and stuff like that. So I don't think they'll fully abandon the run, but I don't think it'll be as much as going I formation and what they were doing last week with David Montgomery. It sucks that he got injured, man. I love that guy. He's one of my favorite players on the team. So I really hate to see him go down to injury like that. That just sucks. Next question. Team that surprised you the most through 4 weeks, good and bad. This is an NFL question, by the way, for those who are listening. Good and bad. That's a great question. Not bad, but I'm kind of surprised that the Patriots are 1-3. And not that I was expected to be one of the top players in the AFC or anything like that, but, you know, some of the games they've lost before this Tampa Bay game, I thought they were going to win, but they didn't. Especially that game against the Saints a couple weeks ago. But though that's a surprise for me. A good surprise is the Carolina Panthers. I know they're in the middle of the rebuild, but I like what they're doing right there. I think Matt Rule's a good coach. They just acquired Stephon Gilmore, as we were just talking about the Patriots. So they're doing some good stuff down there in Carolina. I think they can find a way to possibly sneak in a wild card spot if things work out for them. But as far as bad, I haven't been really impressed with the Chiefs so far this year. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have video game stats all the time. I remember there was times when Matt Stafford had gazillion stats, but the Lions were the Lions. Like, I'm not saying that the Chiefs are going to become the Lions, but it's one thing after multiple seasons where you're just this high-scoring offensive team and your defense just plays complete ass. They play like complete donkey shit out there. And I think it's going to backfire on the Chiefs sooner or later. Disappointments, Tennessee Titans is on that list for sure. Good surprises. Let's see. You know what? I think the team I'm most surprised by right now, not that I think they're going to be a good team this year, is the Arizona Cardinals. What they're doing right now is insane. And shout out to Kyler Murray. And I know the Cardinals were getting a lot of flack for how their season ended last season. But to start the season 4-0 and where they are right now, I mean, they're the hottest team in the NFL right now. So I think out of the first 4 weeks, I think the Cardinals is the team that's really surprised me the most out of any that started this season. Next question. Hey, man, Adam Page is back. Do you think TK will have the balls to pull the trigger with him? Well, that just depends. Does he want to sneak in Bray Wyatt or Braun Strowman to take another spot to showcase, hey, everybody, we got a new sighting for WWE, everybody. I'm Tony Khan. That's all I do. Oh, one of our younger guys who rises. Oh, let's bring in somebody else from another company. Oh, let's bring somebody in from the Forbidden Door. I would like to give Tony Khan the benefit of the doubt, but no. If anything, him and Page will get his opportunity against Olivier, and Olivier would retain, so Omega could fight Bryan Danielson or CM Punk, or whenever Adam Cole turns on the Goof Bucks, the Hardy Boys, as Cornette would say. I would love to see Heyman Page. I think it's a long overdue moment for him to become the world champion, but I'll believe it when I see it. That's the way I'm looking at it. Next question. AJ and almost did get split up in the draft like I had suspected. What do you think the legs are for this tag team? For me, it's gotten a little stale. I like their group, but for me, I'm also the same way that I'd rather see AJ Styles as a singer performer, and I don't know how much longer they could go with this. And I don't know, it's just like an odd vibe with AJ Styles where he's like always moody and stuff. I know he's a heel, obviously, but I don't know, something just seems off. I would like to think that maybe things would go a different direction once they lose to RK Bro and Crown Jewel, but I don't think this is a group, at least a team that's going to be on for much longer. We'll have to see how that goes, how that plays out, if you will. Next question. Would you like to see Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt do something together in Impact or something individual? I want to see them do something individual. Usually when these guys get out of the company and get released and stuff like that, I just want to see what they do individually. And for me, I've been really exhausted with the people that get released from WWE and all their hyping up promos are, oh, I just escaped prison. It's like it's nothing unique or another reason for me to have sympathy for you, or to be invested with you once you go to your new company where you're ripping off John Moxley, ripping off everybody else that does, oh, I just got my shackles off. I just got released from prison vignettes. I loved Buddy Murphy in WWE. I thought he was a great wrestler, and I thought he was underutilized. But with him and his stuff on Twitter and him doing the ripoff, getting released from prison, I could give two shits what he does now. So I just like to see some individuality between both guys and see what they do and see if what they're doing on their own is better than what they did in WWE. That's the way I look at it. All right, next question. I'm about to say the women's tag division. Should they deal with the titles? A quick answer. Yes, they should scrap the women's tag titles. Pretty simple. 8, question here. With the WWE Women's Division having so much talent, name a few talented female talents you feel may wind up getting lost in the shuffle of the rest of the talent. I'd say Dana Brooke. There's been also a couple of ladies who have been out with injuries and stuff like that. I mean, Lacey Evans out with a pregnancy, obviously. She's about to be due, I think, soon. So early congratulations to Lacey Evans and her husband on their new baby. I'd probably say Dana Brooks of the world, possibly Tamina now. Her Natalia are not a team anymore. Maybe Zelina Vega, possibly. I'm really curious to see how they handle the women's division following Crown Jewel because you got these new rosters now. How does the Queen of the Ring tournament benefit or hinder the women's division? That's another thing to look at here. So I'll just look to see who's not on TV as much, and you'll find out there who's being lost in the shuffle. Last question here. I already mentioned some of the matches I wanted to see in the draft there. So last question here from Sam. He says, Philly cheesesteak or Italian beef? All right, for me, I'll go with a Philly cheesesteak. I prefer that over Italian beef. And I'm going to say this why, because I'm very picky with the Italian beef I eat. My dad's a distributor of meat throughout the Chicagoland area. He's an entrepreneur. He works in the meat industry. And what he sells for Italian beef, those are the ones that I prefer. So I'm very picky when it comes to Italian beef. But if you had to ask me, would I rather have a Philly cheesesteak or Italian beef, I'll go with Philly cheesesteak. I've always liked Philly cheesesteaks, chicken Philly cheesesteak, whatever it is. I'll pick that over Italian beef every day. So great questions there, Good Bird. I appreciate that. All right, last batch of questions this week comes from the Good Bird, Nate the Great at Psycho Nagiri. Make sure to follow him at Twitter there. I appreciate you, my man. He says, here we go. Oh, we got a personal question here. When do you feel happiest? That's a great question, man. I say right now, with what I'm doing, like here with the podcast and the transfer, I think it's probably when I'm the happiest. That's how I like to keep it positive from that point of view. When I get to go to a wrestling show, that's always a fun time for me, or when I'm playing my guitar, that's also the time when I'm happy. It's very few and far between I have those moments because I'm like busy and I'm dealing with my own stuff and dealing with depression and stuff like that. But I do have my moments where I am happy. It's mostly when I'm like in my zone and like doing my craft and like recording the show, obviously, or making transcripts or playing my guitar. Those are like the scenarios where you find me at my happiest. So that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. Next question here from Nate. He says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fulfilled do you feel in life right now? Man. I think it's a two-length question there. Professionally, I'll say I'm at a 9. I'm really happy with where I am right now in my career. I feel like I'm about to reach another level in my career soon, and I feel like doors are about to open, and I feel like a lot of hard work is going to pay off soon. I'm happy with the success of the show. I'm happy with the success of the articles and stuff like that. I say I'm in a good state of mind there. For me personally, outside of this, I'd probably go with a 6. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably go with a 6. I mean, I mentioned it a couple weeks ago about why I've been kind of feeling lost, like within my heart. But I think there's other factors too, where I'm ready to take this next chapter in my life. Like I'm like ready to move out of Chicago. Like I'm ready to take that step. So I think that's another reason why I knock it down. You lose the point there when you deal with depression, so that's a very added notch there. But for me, I don't feel like I'm at a point right now where like I'm depressed and I'm going to sleep crying or anything like that. Do I have my bad days? Yeah. Living by myself for the last 9 months has taught me a lot of things about myself and what I want and what does make me happy. And there's many things that have been thrown my way where I've had to adapt, and it's tested my patience a lot of times too. And it's really telling when you're on your own, and it's a part of the life where you have to learn more about yourself as you're growing older. And I'd say I'm probably like a 6 right now, because as much as I'm happy with my career and stuff, I feel like I want to do more. I am goal oriented, so I don't want to be just content being like, oh, I'm just a transfer guy. Oh, I do a podcast every single week. I am goal oriented, and I do want to reach higher ceilings, but I have faith within myself that I'm going to reach that point. Other stuff personally, though, is just like I do feel that sense of loneliness at times, but I have my friends here and there that reach out. A lot of my main personal friends live out of state, so that's kind of a big issue. So I find myself in a situation where I really don't go out to like clubs and stuff like that, and I really try to keep perspective and try to grow every day. I think it's the biggest thing that's keeping me whole right now, and that I do want to move out of the city. I do want to start the next chapter in my life. I don't feel like things are holding me back, but I don't know how much benefit I'm going to have just staying here. That's where I am right now. So that's why I'm at a 6. So. Okay, next question. That's a That's a strong one there, man. If the world was going to end next week, is there anything you want to get off your chest to someone or go do something meaningful? I like to tell my family that I love them. I like to tell my friends, especially you guys, that I love you. Grateful for everything you've done for me. Let's tell Lauren that I love her. I think for me, I would have like things I would want to say. I would like to just make sure that whatever impact it is, if the world was ending next week, I would want to make every day count and make it meaningful in that way. That's how I would look at it. I wouldn't have to feel like I have to say a gazillion things, or I don't feel like there's a lot of things that I'm hiding within that I need to vent about. So I think for me, I probably would rather just make each day count with what I'm doing and how I'm impacting the people that matter to me in my life. That's probably how I would approach it, but it can be different for other people. Next question from Nate. He says, is sadness temporary or forever? I don't think it's forever, but I'd be naive, and I think people be naive to think that sadness just goes away in a day or a week. I feel like people kind of scoff at people that deal with mental health issues because they look at it as a sign of weakness, but it's real life. You know, we can always go off of the health of how you look, or, you know, what medicines you take throughout the day. Yeah, all the stuff with drugs and pharmaceutical stuff. Yeah, that's great. Fine, Danny. Yeah, you got to take care of yourself. But none of that shit matters if you're not good here. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter if I take pills every day for bipolar pills. I'm not diagnosed with bipolar. So let's say if I was, right? Let's say if I was taking pills to calm down from bipolar stuff, or if I was taking things to calm my anxiety or stuff like that. Yeah, I'm trying to try to keep things in perspective with my energy and stuff like that. But none of that matters if my mental health is not there. If you have no mental health, then what's the point? None of this life really means shit at the end of the day. Think about that. Mental health is where you get to the point where you can feel completely empty inside. It doesn't matter what is going on in your life. You feel nothing inside. So, in that point where you just don't care about anything. And that's scary. But I think sadness is temporary. But, again, this doesn't go away on other people's times. It goes on your terms and what you learned and what you're going to do to make yourself feel better and grow as a person from whatever's making you sad at that time. That's a great question, man, because I feel people are kind of naive to that. Oh, you're sad. Oh, just get over it. Oh, move on, do this. No, it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You need to step in somebody's shoes before you're going to start talking about somebody's mental health and how they go about it or how they view the. Oh, man. Next question. Has Braun Breaker impressed you so far, and do you think he's ready for the title? I'm all in for the Braun Breaker stuff. I'm all on board of his bandwagon hype train. He's the man. He's got the charisma of his uncle and his dad, and he looks good so far in the ring. Does he get the title? I would be surprised, but Braun Breaker is definitely the hot hand right now in NXT 2.0, and I really have been enjoying what he's been doing recently. So I'll say, yeah, why not? Why not? I really dig Braun Breaker, and I think he has potential to do a lot of good stuff in WWE. So, yes, to Braun Breaker. What did you like about the draft? Like I mentioned earlier, I really dig the way the SmackDown tag division looks. I like that we're going to have different match pairings now on Raw for the men's division. I think that's good, and it's been necessary for a while. I think Becky and Seth going on Raw is a big deal for Raw brand, more bigger name stay power there. let's see. I really like the fact that Shayna Baszler's on SmackDown and Kevin Owens is on Raw. So those are the few things that like stood out to me from the draft thing. So anyone not get moved that you wanted to get moved to different brands? Oh, so you're talking about people that stood in their brands, right? That's a good question. I thought there was potential possibly for Cesaro to go to Raw, but that didn't happen. So that's probably the first one that comes off the top of my head. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I think it's good that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are now on different brands. I think nobody's been mentioning that yet. Neither guy are on the same brand. I don't know when the last time that happened. And also, Carmel's off of SmackDown for the first time ever. So there's little subtle things like that that stood out to me that came out of the draft. I thought the draft was really good this year for both brands. I really do. I'm curious to see how it plays out, and hopefully the best for both Raw and SmackDown going forward. Last question here for the podcast this week. They asked, do you think Kyle O'Reilly still fits in the current NXT? I think he doesn't fit in. He's more of the veteran guy right now on NXT 2.0. I would like to think that possibly Kyle will probably take that next transition step to go to Raw or SmackDown, or who knows, maybe he gets released. I don't know. I don't think he has a lot of staying power, though, in NXT 2.0, so I will say that. But, wow, awesome questions this week, guys. You guys brought it. Chris, Sam, Nate, CNN, you guys killed it this week, my man. I appreciate all three of you, good brothers. And that's right there is the wrap up for this week's edition of the Good Bros Q&A session. As always, if you ever want to ask me a question, all you have to do is hit me up at Twitter at Josh Lopez Media. Hit me up here on Facebook, or send me an email to hootspodcast@gmail.com. When I come back, we're gonna get right into what happened this week in WWE right here on Hoots Podcast. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a public announcement I'd like to share. I'd like to thank my good friend, Paul Heyman. Because of Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar is a free agent. All because of Paul. And all because of that, Brock Lesnar gets to do whatever Brock Lesnar wants to do.
Are you good friends with Brock Lesnar? Let me ask you something, Paul. Are we good friends?
You're my tribal chief.
Because if we're good friends, that means you look out for me. And if you look out for me, that means you look out for my family.
Yes, my tribal chief.
Mm. Well, my cousin's drafted to SmackDown tonight.
Cousins will be drafted to SmackDown on Monday at Raw. It's all figured out. It's a strategy. They're manipulations.
It's a strategy.
It's a negotiation.
A negotiation.
Behind the scenes. My tribal chief.
Nice.
My tribal chief. I am the wise man.
He's the wise man. He's my wise man. He's our wise man. He's the wise man.
You're only the wise man when I say you're the wise man. Please don't do this.
All right, wise man. Let's follow the strategy. Let's stick to the plan. I want you to go to Raw on Monday, and I want you to make sure that my cousins are drafted to SmackDown. Do you understand?
Yes, my tribal chief. Thank you, my tribal chief.
I want y'all to go with him. And I want to make it very clear that you're to be drafted to SmackDown. And if you're not, leave him for dead at Raw.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hoots Podcast. I'm talking about what happened this week in WWE, as we do each and every single week. As you guys heard earlier in the show, I just went over through the whole list of draft picks and scenarios of matches that I would like to see on the draft. The last two episodes of Raw and SmackDown were about the draft, obviously. And that's a big recap of what happened this week in WWE. We started off with SmackDown, as Pat McAfee would say. We had, you heard the clip right there with the Tribal Chief and the Wise Man and Brock Lesnar. Getting to hear Brock Lesnar as a babyface and him cutting promos is something that I didn't know that I wanted as a wrestling fan, but I'm here for it. I'm all in on babyface Brock Lesnar. And if you ask me, for those who've listened to the podcast since we've been doing this show, if you ask me if I'd be enjoying Brock Lesnar in 2021, it'd be a long shot. But Brock Lesnar is killing it right now. I'm really digging what's going on with him and the Tribal Chief. You heard the spout there with him and Heyman in the backstage area. I thought that was really good. You're the wise man. I say you're the wise man. Love the Tribal Chief, man. He's the best. So I thought that was pretty cool. Seth Rollins, man, he is on another level right now. So he brought up a good point about hypocrisy in wrestling fans. So if you guys missed SmackDown, Seth Rollins took a trip to Asheville, North Carolina to pay a visit, if you will, to Edge's home. Just like Edge a few years back went to West Newbury, Massachusetts to meet John Cena's dad at John Cena's original home. Oh, man. If you guys haven't seen this segment, it's freaking hilarious. Edge and Seth Rollins are far from done and far from being done with this feud right now. And I'm really curious to see what the fallout for that is. I thought it was interesting. Edge's like, call David and Daniel. Yeah. FTR stuck with the hoodlum ninja mask on Dynamite last night. It's really going to come in and go after the bad heel, Seth Rollins. Oh, man. But that segment was pretty funny. We had the first couple draft picks announced on SmackDown. The Tribal Chief obviously went number 1. Big E obviously number 2 going to Raw. The big two big acquisitions for SmackDown was Charlotte Flair and Drew McIntyre. And, Drew McIntyre talked about the bump this week. He's really excited to kind of right or wrong in his career. He got his WWE career started in SmackDown in 2007. And looking to have a bigger run than he had last time. And I'm curious to see what he does there. Obviously, him and Roman Reigns could have some killer pay-per-view matches in a long program. I think that's going to happen sooner or later, so be on the lookout for that. And also, I want to say this before anybody gets to it. I'm telling you right now, when it came to the draft, the first thing that popped in my head is that Drew McIntyre is going to win the Royal Rumble in 2022. Or at least be the odds-on favorite. Now, this forewarning you right now, Drew McIntyre is going to be in the running for the Royal Rumble. I'll just say that right now. Charlotte Flair attacking Bianca and Sasha Banks during their main event. I thought Sasha and Bianca had a good match this week on SmackDown. Pretty good shellacking, if you will, for the Queen. Becky Lynch was doing commentary. So things are building up between Becky and Sasha and Bianca for their triple threat match at Crown Jewel. We had other stuff on the show. We had an 8-man tag match with the New Day and the Street Profits beating up on Alpha Academy and the Dirty Dogs. We'll see what's going to happen with Dominic Mysterio down the road. The Mysterios are now on Monday Night Raw, so be on the lookout for that. I thought it was pretty funny when they were announcing the draft picks. Sonya Deville was like, nonchalant petty about announcing that Naomi got drafted to SmackDown. I thought that was fucking hilarious. I thought that was pretty cool. So SmackDown's always a fun show to watch each week, and I always enjoy what they do there. And then when it comes to Monday Night Raw, we kicked it off with started off with the draft, right? And then let me pull up my article here for the website. This is a great thing about my website, ProWrestlingTransfers.com. It's the number one reference sheet, if you will, for wrestling. We started off the show with Becky Lynch and having a promo segment with Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair. Charlotte, is trying to tell everybody that she's the most dominant performer in the history of women's wrestling. And Becky Lynch is saying she's always 2 steps ahead of Charlotte. Out comes Bianca. This led into a main event matchup of Charlotte Flair against Bianca Belair for the first time, which was a really good match. Bianca Belair was about to win, but Becky pulled her out of the ring for disqualification. That led to a Pier 6 brawl. Sasha Banks laid out everybody to close out the show. So just like I mentioned with SmackDown, they're building up towards that program going into Crown Jewel. Then we had Damian Priest retain against Jeff Hardy. He retained his United States Championship. But that wasn't the story of the match, though. You have Damian Priest after the match. You had Austin Theory come out of the ring, pretend that he wanted to take a selfie with Jeff Hardy, and then Austin Theory attacked Jeff Hardy. So over the next 2 weeks, we're still gonna have these like kind of jumble set rosters where the people are there that drafted, they'll be there, but you're gonna see the same people in the same shows until after Crown Jewel. So don't be confused by that. Interesting that Piper Niven confronted Shayna Baszler, even though Piper Niven's on Monday Night Raw. So, seeing Baszler was on her way out anyways to SmackDown, and I wasn't really surprised by that. Let's see what else stood out to me from Raw this week. I really dig the stuff with Randy Orton. call it almost a big bitch. That was hilarious. Big E and Drew McIntyre beating up on the Dirty Thoughts. I thought that was a good match. Big E and Drew McIntyre will be fighting each other for the WWE title at Crown Jewel. That's going to be a big, fun match. Big man bumping meat. That should be good. I wasn't too crazy about the women's tag time match because we've seen it a gazillion times, and I just don't think it's a division that's necessary unless you're going to have a full-lated, all-women's brand, weekly all-women's brand. I just don't see the point of having that title right now. So I thought Goldberg and Bobby Lashley's segment was good this week. Got quick to the point. I think everybody should be happy that this match is not for the WWE title. So even if Bobby Lashley did lose to Goldberg at Crown Jewel, which I think he will, he's not buried, he's not ruined or anything like that. So I'm glad that the title's not on the line here for their match. It's a no-holds-barred match at Crown Jewel coming up in a couple of weeks. Let's see, we got Goldberg and Lashley for the no-holds-barred match. We got Big E and Drew McIntyre, like I mentioned, for the WWE title. We got Rated RK Bro against AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Titles in the SummerSlam rematch. Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, and Sasha Banks in a triple threat match for the SmackDown Women's title. And then, obviously, the main event of that show is going to be Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. So, I'm really surprised that they're going all out for Crown Jewel with the fact that this is going to be the only pay-per-view this month. Usually when they had like the Crown Jewel specials, they would have a corresponding pay-per-view like either that weekend or the following week. So I'm kind of surprised in that sense that this is the only pay-per-view this month. So we'll have to see where things go from there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I already hit on a lot of the stuff I thought about the draft earlier in the Q&A session, but another solid week for WWE. And then, as always, we'd like to do a little quick preview for the NXT UK shows. It's my favorite show that WWE does each week. So today we got the finals of the number one contenders tournament for the Heritage Cup Championship, right? And it's Noam Dar against Wolfgang. And just like Jonathan Hood says on his show, Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday, Noam Dar is the best heel in WWE and nobody knows about it. Noam Dar and Wolfgang are going to have an awesome match. I'm looking forward to that. I think we have Amelia McKenzie against Ginny today. That should be a interesting contest, if you will. And what else we had on the docket? I know there's like some big match coming up as well for NXT UK today. Oh, by the way, last week, if you haven't seen Jordan Devlin against Joe Coffey, that was an awesome match. Oh, by the way, go check out Mark Andrews and Sam Gradwell today. That's the other matchup today on NXT UK. But they got some good stuff going on in the show. I try to promote it and give us the spotlight to it each week. I love NXT UK. It's a fun show. It's my favorite show to cover each week for WWE. And today should be no different. We got Gallus at ringside for Wolfgang and Shaw Samuels be the quarterman for Noam Dar in this Heritage Cup number one contender finals match. And basically whoever wins this match will fight Tyler Bate for the NXT UK Heritage Cup Championship in the coming weeks or so. Also, there's some big news coming out for NXT UK this week that fans are making their way back to the BT Sports Studio. So we're going to finally have a live UK European audience for NXT UK for the first time since the pandemic, and I'm really, really excited for that. That should be a lot of fun. Also, I don't know, I just want to tell you folks, that is what happened this week in WWE. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our Week 3 report of the G1 Climax tournament of professional wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I just did today's show from Hiroshima Sun Plaza Hall in Hiroshima, Japan today. As always, you can check out my coverage of the G1 Climax tournament on ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. I got a reference sheet. Just go to the search engine, type in G1 Climax reference sheet. You'll find it right there. Really quick, when it comes to the standings in the G1 right now, for those that have been catching up with the tournament, in the A block, we got a two-way tie for first place with Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi at 10 points. Shingo Takagi, we have a four-way tie for second place with Shingo, Kenta, Ishii, and the Great Okan with 8 points. Toriano has 6, and then rounding it out is Tagaloa and Yujiro Takahashi with 4 points, with Naito being magically disqualified for the G1. And then as we go to the B block, we got Okada. We have a two-way tie as well for the B block with Okada and Jeff Cobb with 10 points. Evil has 8. Hiroshi Tanahashi has 6. Sonata and Taichi have 4. And then we rounded out with a 4-way tie at the bottom with Tama Tonga, Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto, and Chase Owens with 2 points. So here's some of the matches that stood out to me since I last talked to you. We were going into this long weekend of shows last week. I did today's show. I got a show to do tomorrow morning in Kochi, and then there's one in Osaka on Saturday. So these shows are going by fast, but it's been a long tour. I think we're about 2 weeks away from the finals of the G1 Climax tournament. So that's going to be coming up soon at the Nippon Budokan, a.k.a. Sumo Hall. So here's some of the matches that stood out to me since the last time I spoke to you. Okada and Goto was tremendous on Friday. Hiroshi Tanahashi and Sonata. I got to give a big shout to Sonata because Sonata's been put on some killer matches recently in G1, even though he lost to Tanahashi and Okada. I think Sonata's had some killer matches, and I think Okada and Sonata's been one of the best matches so far in the B block. I've been consistent with my point of view that the B block has been really enjoyable for the most part of this tour so far. Not saying the A block hasn't been, but I think the B block has just had better quality shows from an in-ring standpoint. Chase Owens upsetted Tanahashi. That was a shocker at Korakuen Hall. That was crazy. I did not expect that to happen. I thought Jeff Cobb and Taichi had a good match. Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi was really good. Going back for the A block on Sunday, we had Kenta beat the Great Okan. Tagaloa got his first 2 points in the G1, beating up Yujiro Takahashi. Ishii upset Zack Sabre Jr. in a barn burner. And then we were finally waiting for this Kota Ibushi Shingo Takagi match. You guys remember before the Wrestle Grand Slam shows, Ibushi unfortunately got ill for their IWGP World Heavyweight title match. So it was cool to see Ibushi and Shingo go at it. Ibushi beat Shingo with the Kamigoye. Very, very good match. And then what happened today in Hiroshima, we had a pretty cool special singles match. As you guys know, in the A block, Tetsuya Naito got injured. He had a meniscus tear on his knee, so he had to be out for action, right? And the opponents who were supposed to fight Naito got put in special singles matches. So today it was supposed to be Kenta against Tetsuya Naito, but instead we got Kenta and Hiromu Takahashi. That was an awesome match. I thought, big shout out to Tagaloa. He's been putting on some really good performances. Even though he lost to Kota Ibushi today, very, very good showing for Tagaloa. Zack Sabre Jr. put Yujiro Takahashi away. Shingo had to deal with Toriano's nonsense, and then Ishii had a pretty good match with the Great Okan in the main event. Ishii beats the Great Okan, gets his third straight victory. Ishii started to gain some momentum. So before we wrap up this report, I just want to go over the lineups for the upcoming shows. Today was day 11, so we are 8 shows away from this bad boy being done. Here we go. For Fridays in Koji, we got in the undercard match, we got El Desperado against Koshi Fujiwa. For the tournament matches, it's Tama Tonga versus Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto against Chase Owens, Sanada against Jeff Cobb, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Evil, and Okada against Taichi. And then on Saturday, to wrap up the weekend, we got for the undercard matches, it's El Desperado and Kanemaru against Owa and Fujiwa in a tag team match. We got Tomohiro Ishii against Tomohiro Ishii against Hiromu Takahashi. That's gonna be insane. Let's not forget Hiromu Takahashi beat Ishii in the New Japan Cup last year. That match is gonna be awesome. Kenta and Zack Sabre Jr. We got Toriano against Yujiro. Sure to be a lot of shenanigans there. Looking forward to seeing Shingo against Tagaloa. That should be a lot of fun. That one's going to be in Osaka, obviously. And then the main event of that show is going to be Kota Ibushi against the Great Okan. So, yeah, there's just a lot of cool stuff going on. And then next week, there's a 3-pack show from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we have one more show the following Monday. And then we wrap things up the 21st on Thursday. So, yeah, we're almost getting to the home stretch of the G1 Climax tournament. I really do appreciate everybody who does go out of their way to support the transcripts. It means a lot to me, and I hope my coverage of the G1 has been helpful for you guys. I know a lot of people are saying that New Japan's losing steam and momentum and buzz, but as someone who covers all the New Japan shows, and especially the U.S. shows for New Japan Strong, they're doing some good stuff. I mean, go check out New Japan Strong this weekend. They got a lot of good matches on that card, too. We got Minoru Suzuki against Fred Roster. We got Filthy Tambar against Ren Narita for the Strong Openweight Championship. Jay White against Robbie Eagles. They got their Autumn Attack Tour starting on this weekend on New Japan World. So, that, folks, is your report for this week's. This has been your Week 3 New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax 01 report, brought to you by your truly Joshie Lopez and Pro Wrestling Transcriptions.com. All right, folks, it's time to give the people what they want. Now, you guys may not know, your boy's flying solo this week for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW this week. On that note, it's time to give the people what they want. The Restaurant Quality Edition. I haven't said that in a while. That's a throwback for you guys on Throwback Thursday. Here we go, folks. It's time for the most entertaining segment in all of professional wrestling podcasting today, otherwise known as What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? We're going to start this off in a 3, 2, 1.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
Oh boy, oh boy. What the hell is wrong with AEW? AKA, what isn't wrong with AEW? I think it's very important to say that I should take a swig of water before I get into this nonsense. Hey, did you guys heard that last night was the 2-year anniversary of Dynamite? I think I heard that as many times as Corey Graves said that the rules for the draft don't take place until after the Crown Jewel show. Or as many times Tony Khan, my bad, as many times as Tony Schiavone mentions Tony Khan on the AEW show. All right. If you need the perfect illustration of what AEW Dynamite has been for the last 2 years, I think last night's show was the perfect example of that. And not to say there wasn't good stuff on the show, but boy, oh boy, were there some shitty stuff on the show last night. Man, for a 2-year anniversary show, man, they really, I'll give AEW this, they really cling on to their perception for their hardcore marks on Twitter, man, because it's like you would think that they had the ability to establish their own brand, but they allow social media and dirt sheets to dictate the decisions and the stuff they do on their broadcasts. So we started off with the most quintessential AEW Dynamite match, if there ever is one, the Super Elite. We had, aka the Goof Squad. We had Kenny Olivier, Adam Cole, and the Goof Bucks, the Hardly Boys, with Brandon Cutlet and Michael knocking the fuck off at ringside, taking on Karen Danielson, Christian Cage, and the Jungle Express with Stunted Growth in the 8-man tag match. Oh, I also forgot to mention that this week I had to sit through 2 competitive matches with... I had to sit through 2 competitive matches with Stunted Growth. Let's start it off where we started off this week. Dark Elevation, where we had Marco Stunt and Fuego del Sol have a competitive match with Shawn Spears and Wardlow! I shit you not, I had to sit through and write out 2 paragraphs worth of a match with a midget rip-off luchador against a beast in Wardlow and Shawn Spears. Now you guys know me, I think Shawn Spears is nothing, but the fact that Wardlow had a competitive match with... Oh my god. Anyways, let's get into the real crux of this, because this was a complete and utter mud show, this tag match here. Just spot after spot after spot, people running into the ring. I'm becoming a broken record here, but it needs to be called out. Rick Knox was completely useless for this match. This match went on for 20 minutes. I got 5 paragraphs out of it. The Super Elite won with a quadruple BTE shooting trigger. It was just... I mean, if this is the type of match that you enjoy where it's just a gazillion spots going 99 miles per hour, more power to you. But this match was a complete shit show. You know, the whole thing where the Young Bucks running like idiots and then they stop to kiss Adam Cole in the cheeks. I don't get that spot. That's odd. And I want some credit for this. And this is why I'm kind of laughing and taking a step back here. It's like, Didn't I not tell you guys a couple months ago, once Daniel Bryan was going to show up in AEW, that he was automatically going to feud with the Elite and be alongside Christian Cage and Jurassic Express? Did I not say that on the S&E network on Turnbuckle Trends? Did I not map out this whole scenario of what was going to happen with Karrion Danielson once he showed up in AEW? It's been crystal clear the entire time. Like, we have these quintessential Elite guys, and then they feud with the next new signee from WWE. We'll get Olivier and Danielson. By the way, I was surprised. Look, I get it. It's a 2-year anniversary show, but the fact that you just put on this match at Arthur Ashe Stadium, you already had Danielson and Omega touch each other and fight on 2 TV shows in the span of 3 weeks. Before you know it, I'm going to get to the point where I don't give a shit if they fight each other on a pay-per-view again. Now, don't get me wrong. They'll have a great match, just like they had a great match at Arthur Ashe Stadium. But when is enough enough? And this is the company that was supposed to be non-WWE, where we don't have rematches and doing the same thing over and over again. I think this is like the 5th or 6th time I've seen the Young Bucks and somebody else taking on the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. Stuff's got to change, man. It's been going on for 2 or 3 months. Let's talk about other stuff on the show that it was hard to suspend my disbelief from. So we had a match with Sammy Guevara and Bobby Fish. It was. I was kind of indifferent to it. Congrats to Bobby Fish for being signed to AEW. You guys know my feelings on Sammy Guevara. It is what it is. He retained his TNT Championship. After the match, he got into this brawl with the American Top Team. We got Dan Lambert talking crap. Out comes Mickey Rourke and Jake, who gives a shit about me, Hager. He comes down to the ring. Basically, this leads into a 6-man tag match that's supposed to be taking place in a couple weeks, which is going to be the Inner Circle Jerk against Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and Junior Dos Santos. You mean to tell me this iteration for Jericho is going to bring a fight to real MMA shoot fighters? And I'm glad Cornette hit on this last week on his podcast, where he was basically saying it's crazy where like the shoot fighters don't know how to work in the wrestling elements, right? But the pro wrestlers don't know how to shoot fight either. You see, like, it's kind of reversed. So this whole stuff of them feuding and fighting with each other, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll look at Page fans to the cows go home. But, like, this whole thing with the American Top Team and the Inner Circle thing sucks. I'm not going to apologize for being frank with you guys. That whole stuff, this whole program between those two teams, factions, whatever the fuck you want to call them, it sucked ass. And I don't need to see Jake Hager on my TV screens every single week. So we found out that CM Punk will be fighting Daniel Garcia on Rampage this week. That should be an interesting match. Let me get into this. So, I guess Dean Ambrose has found his way to AEW. You heard me, right? I found it very interesting that Dean Ambrose has found his way into AEW. Mopey, being in his feelings about for whatever the fuck reason. His odd backstage promos. His wrestling matches that's still kind of similar to what he did in WWE. I'm glad to see that Dean Ambrose hasn't changed since this whole time. I mean, the only difference between Jon Moxley and Dean Ambrose is that he swears. And has matches where he bleeds. I didn't know that was such a big difference from Dean Ambrose, like, where you can tell the levels of where a performer's at, where Jon Moxley needs to swear and bleed to get himself over instead of letting his work and his ability to tell stories to get himself over. I just find that to be very interesting. So I'm glad to see that Dean Ambrose has showed himself in AEW. And yeah, there's that. Let's see what else happened on the most show. We had a whatever match with Nick Comoroto and Darby Allin. That was what it was. QT Marshall dropped Sting with a Scorpion Deathlock, then Sting came back and stood back on his feet like nothing and hit him with the... No, my bad. QT Marshall did the Diamond Cutter on him, and then Sting responded with the Scorpion Death Drop. But go back to the double standards. Wouldn't people be like, oh, look, great. Look, The Undertaker knows sold something. But Sting shows up. Oh, Sting does no wrong because he's in AEW. Malachi Black against Dante Martin. Don't give a shit. I thought Hikaru Shida's match with Serena Deeb was pretty good. This is one of the few things I liked on Dynamite last night. I thought it was pretty good. They announced that they're going to be having the AEW Women's TBS Championship coming up in January once AEW Dynamite moves to TBS in January 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So, pretty cool announcement. I think the title looks like shit, but I think it's pretty cool. Here's the lineup for Rampage this week. We've got CM Punk against Daniel Garcia, Jade Cargill against Sky Blue, Ricky Starks against Brian Cage in the Philadelphia Street Fight for the FTW World Title, Send Hook, and then Lucha Brothers against the Acclaim for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Oh, by the way, giving people who got suspended and gave your company bad name title shots in your TV shows, that's a trend that continues to happen in AEW. Before I get to the main event, I want to bring something back here to the podcast this week. It's called A Trip Down Catville. I want to thank my good brother Mike at Main Event Sweat for sending me this yesterday. And Mike's a great friend of the podcast. Me and Brother Carter got to meet him in New Orleans for WrestleMania weekend. That was a fun time. But here we go. A Trip Down Catville, in case you guys don't know what that is, I read a tweet come off of Twitter, and I tell you if it's cap or not. So, let's read this, shall we? At Garrett Kinney on Twitter. For as hot as AEW has been with CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and Adam Cole, and Ruby Soho, I'm trying to sound like Dan Lambert right now, this is still Heyman Page's company. I can't remember the last thing I wanted more in wrestling than Heyman winning the world title. Honestly, it's not CM Punk's company. It's not Bryan Danielson's company. It's not Kenny Olivier's company. It's not the Goofbucks. It's not Cody Trump. It's not Mickey Rourke's company. Hell, it's not even Tony Khan's company. You know whose company is? It's Dave fucking Seltzer. That's whose company this is. Okay? So, yeah, I was happy to see Heyman come back. So, we have a ladder match where Punk doesn't know how to set up a table. Very awkward transitions to setting up ladders and tables in the match. I don't know why the fuck you put Orange Cassidy in a ladder match where he starts shoving a ladder out of the ring. I'm not a fan of Pockets, but whatever. We have the Running Lip Man out there. Andrade still in the same position as he was in WWE. Lance Archer. One week he's a babyface, the next week he's a heel. I guess Lance Archer will be taking the role of Paul White in AEW. John Moxley. Don't get me wrong, there's some cool spots, and I thought the match picked up more when Hangman Page was the final entrant, but I was watching this match, guys. It was a big shoulder shrug for me. Don't get me wrong, you know, Page doing the dead eye off the ladder through the table was really cool. Some good spots towards the end, but yeah, that was predictable as the cows go home. But nice reception for Hangman Page. He's one of the few people I do like in AEW. Going back real quick to something that happened earlier in the show, I liked the sit-down interview that JR had with Darby Allin. I thought that was pretty good too. So I wanted to mention some of the few stuff I did like, so I'm not like, oh, you hate everything AEW does. Sorry, folks, I don't look through this company through rose-colored glasses, and this is something I really wanted to talk about as we wrap up this segment this week. So, last night was the 2-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite, and that's also the end of "this is a new company" excuse. That died last night. For a company that's called All Elite Wrestling, I'm applying elite standards to it. And I'm not just going to crown the new company as the greatest thing since sliced bread, since no professional wrestling company has been able to have any success over the last 20 years outside of TNA and WCW. I'm not going to be convinced, I'm not going to be convinced and just be like, oh, this is a new company, they do no wrong, they're Teflon. No. I support AEW. I cover all their shows that they do. I went to the Rampage show in Chicago at the United Center. I do support AEW. I do like it. But I'm not going to sit here and act like they do nothing wrong. And there's a lot of people that engage in a lot of hyperbole, and there's a lot of people that put over AEW just for the fact that they don't like the WWE, so it doesn't matter what they do, AEW does no wrong because it's not WWE. That's not what we do here in the Hoots Podcast. I call a spade, and I'm going to apply elite standards on the show and a promotion that's called All Elite Wrestling. And nothing I watch on this program is elite in my eyes. And last night was a perfect representation of what I've seen from AEW Dynamite over the last few years. Some good matches, a lot of spotlighting and gaslighting to hype up momentum and buzz on social media, a lot of goofiness, tag matches that have no psychology, a shitty referee crew, a shitty announcing team, and, afterbirth brawls, having 90 people on the show to constitute long-term storytelling. And that's my takeaway from it. There's good and there's bad. But there's nothing on this show that resembles elite to me when I watch AEW Dynamite. And that, my friends, is what the hell is wrong with AEW this week.
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Alright, folks. Gonna wrap it up right there, man. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this week for another stellar edition of the Hoots Podcast. This was a lot of fun. A lot of great questions this week on the Good Brothers Q&A session. Got you updated with the G1. Talked about the draft, Crown Jewel. We just did what the hell was wrong with AEW. So, fun episode this week. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. As always, you can follow me on Twitter if you like, at Josh Lopez Media. Make sure to hit me up on Instagram at Joshie Lopez 94. That's Joshie Lopez 94 on Instagram, at Josh Lopez Music. Also, make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscripts.com. If you are Apple Podcast listener and user, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, obviously, and leave us a 4 or 5 star review and rating. Helps expand the reach of the show. And always, folks, make sure to support the podcast each week, man. Tell a friend about it. Let people know that we're having a lot of fun and we're talking about professional wrestling and having a good time with it right here on the Hoots Podcast. So I want to remind you folks to be the authentic product that is yourself, and always remember, man, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself. I love you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Sooner or later, we'll get sooner into our previews for Crown Jewel and Bound for Glory is around the corner. A lot of stuff going on in the world of professional wrestling. But again, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I'm Joshie. This has been episode 278 of the Hoots Podcast. And I got a special surprise for everybody. We got a brand new edition of the Thoughts of Dericho, and it starts right now. Talk to you guys next week. Yes, sir.
And now, the Thoughts of Dericho. Listen well, man.
Welcome, one and all, to the segment that isn't going to be drafted anywhere anytime soon. It's staying right here on the Hoots Podcast. It is the Thoughts of Dericho, featuring the one, the only, Brother Carter. I apologize for not getting what the hell is wrong with AEW or my take on what the hell is wrong with AEW this week. I just didn't have a chance to watch the show this week. It's been crazy busy in my life, and I'm actually going to talk about that in my final thought here in a little bit. Just I feel bad that I haven't been able to contribute as much to the Hoots podcast as I've wanted to over the last few weeks, but you know, I'm in doctoral school and life is real crazy right now. Lots of stuff going on. Almost every night of the week I got something going on. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. But I promise that I have not forgot about you, the faithful listeners of the Hoots podcast, or my brother in arms. I don't know. I can't say the Stephen A. Smith to my Max Kellerman anymore because they're no longer a thing. But the brainchild behind the Hoots podcast, my brother Josh. I haven't forgot about any of you. And so just know that I'll be back to contributing to the Hoots podcast more and as regularly as possible as soon as I can once my real life calms down. But I thought I would take this episode of the Thoughts of Dericho this week to just talk about the results of the WWE draft that happened over the last couple of nights over Raw and SmackDown this week. And I've got the new rosters in front of me, and I'm just going to take a look at this and just see what we've got here. This tweet was released, let's see. This tweet looks like it was released after Raw on Monday. So it looks like we've got the new rosters all set in stone, and the rosters are effective following Crown Jewel, which I think is interesting. So there's opportunities to get the last couple of feuds in there over matches over the next 2 weeks. So that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that. So let's start taking a look at this and looking here at the SmackDown roster. I'm really excited about some of the new pairings that we might see. I'm really excited about Drew McIntyre to SmackDown. I'd love to see him against Roman Reigns. I think that's going to be great. I'm looking at some challengers potentially for Roman Reigns here. Happy Corbin, I think, could absolutely be a challenger for Reigns for the title. Kofi, I'm hoping. King Nakamura, I'm hoping. I've always been a big fan of King Nakamura. Let's see, who else is legitimate? That's who I've got right now as potential candidates for challenging Roman Reigns, so that should be very interesting. A lot of good challenges here for the Intercontinental Championship as well against King Nakamura. I like the idea of potentially Jinder Mahal. I forgot to mention for Reigns, Cesaro. Cesaro could definitely be a challenger for the world title. Looking here, we've got Isaiah Swerve Scott. I like him as challenging for the Intercontinental Championship. You could throw Jeff Hardy in there if you need to, Jinder Mahal. Mace potentially, which I hope they eventually change his name back to Dio Madden. Mustafa Ali. I mean, there's a lot of potential here. If you want to do Ricochet, I think that'd be great. So I like with that part of the SmackDown roster. Also, the women's division. My God, did the women's division get an upgrade here? So you've got the Queen, woo, the GOAT over on SmackDown, Charlotte Flair over on SmackDown. But look at the challengers she's got. You've got Sasha. You've got Toni Storm. You finally got Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler needs to be the first person challenging Charlotte Flair. And honestly, Shayna Baszler needs to win the SmackDown Women's Championship. That's the first thing that needs to happen because she deserves it. She's been in this horrible pair with Nia Jax, just kind of floundering. Shayna's one of the most dangerous women in WWE. She needs to be challenging and she needs to win the SmackDown Women's Championship. I can't believe I'm saying that over the Queen. And this will be an easy, just Becky and Charlotte will just exchange belts at Crown Jewel or something like that, and that's fine. No problems there. You can just, that's an easy swap title for title. But, that's what I'd love to see. Those women, I'm very excited about this women's division on SmackDown. So I'm excited about the potential over on SmackDown. Let's take a look at Raw here. Again, some really interesting things going on here on Raw. So obviously you've got Big E, who's a world champion. So looking at folks that could challenge for the world title, I don't think AJ Styles and Omos are going to break up anytime soon, but you could easily throw AJ Styles in there. Obviously you've got Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor. Now that Finn Balor's on Raw, throw Finn Balor in there. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. Him challenging for a world title. Seth Rollins is now, the Monday Night Messiah is now over on Raw, and Edge. They're both now on Raw. So either of them could challenge for the world title. I think that would be fine. Miz, Morrison, if you want to do either one of those. Randy Orton, of course. So there's a lot of challengers for the world title on Raw right now. Eventually, it's going to be Damian Priest, because I still think Damian Priest is going to win the Royal Rumble. So, I mean, you've got a lot of potential here for some challengers for Big E, and I like that for the world title. Thinking about the U.S. title and Damian Priest has, again, you've got a number of challengers here. You've got Austin Theory, who's now coming up, and I love me some Austin Theory. I think he's terrific. So, Austin Theory could challenge for the U.S. title. I like that idea. Cedric Alexander. Well, though, I don't know what they're going to do with the Hurt Business now that the Hurt Business is back, which is awesome, by the way. I love the idea of the Hurt Business being back. So, you could do that. I think Ziggler and Roode are still going to be a team, so that's fine. If you want to do Finn Balor, you could, although I think Finn Balor should be challenging for the world title. Karrion Kross, Keith Lee, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens should also be challenging for a world title. I forgot about Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens should be challenging for a world title too. And Keith Bearcat Lee could be challenging for the U.S. title. So, a lot of potential challengers here. I like it. On the women's side, obviously you've got Becky Lynch coming over, and she'll be the Raw Women's Champion. But look at the challengers she's got here. We got Bianca Belair. We could get that feud going again. Carmella, I like that. Dana Brooke, I like that. I still think Dana Brooke has gotten a Raw deal. Tegan Knox and Shotzi over there. I assume Shotzi's over there. Let's see. I see Tegan Knox. I don't see. Is Shotzi over on SmackDown? They broke that team up. Oh, wow. Okay, I missed that. Yeah, Shotzi can challenge for the women's title on SmackDown, too. Tegan Knox can challenge on Raw. Rhea Ripley. Mia Yim, who's still around. Liv Morgan. Yes, Doudrop eventually, which I love. They need to make her Piper Niven again. But, man, there's some great challengers for the women's championship. If you want to do for the tag team titles, the Street Profits are there. You've got the Hurt Business. You got Styles and Omos. So there's a lot of potential for Shanky and Veer. If you want to do, Veer's over here. Is Shanky over on SmackDown? Yeah, Shanky's over on SmackDown. Okay, never mind. So I don't know. Yeah, so I'm digging this. I'm really digging what I'm seeing here. I think that's some fresh matchups, new opportunities for some new folks. I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited about seeing some of these new feuds and seeing how that goes here. So I think it's going to be great. And then starting next Friday, we've got the return of the King of the Ring tournament and the Queen's Crown being introduced. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited that they're going to do the Queen's Crown tournament. I like that idea of having those tournaments. That's always a great thing that you can do. So just trying to see here who could be potentially the King of the Ring here. And I'm really not sure. I know Xavier Woods has been saying that he really wants to be the King of the Ring. The thing about the King of the Ring, though, is it's better for a heel. So it could be Xavier Woods. I actually wonder if you could make Baron Corbin win it again. So I think that could be kind of cool to just, he's happy Corbin. I got my crown back, blah, blah, blah. And then you can do an angle with, but I don't really care now that I'm really happy, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. We'll see. You've got to be a heel, though, I think. I think there has to be... you've got to have a heel win it, I think, because it's mostly a heel gimmick, so I don't know what they're going to do. On the women's side, let's see. I'm just trying to think who could be a good option for the women. I like the idea of maybe... I was going to say Shayna Baszler because she could just dominate her way to the top. But somebody like Carmella could be good, kind of going off, I'm the queen, ha 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 ha, kind of thing. So that could be good. Somebody like a Liv Morgan, Dana Brooke, I think would be a good choice. Selena Vega. So there's a lot of potential winners there. So I'm excited to see how this is going to all play out. And it's very, very, very exciting. So some exciting stuff going on in WWE right now. And I'm excited to see where it all goes. And those are the thoughts of Dericho this week. My final thought is, and I'll leave you all with this, one of the things I've also doing and kind of navigating through over these last couple weeks is I'm going to be starting to see a therapist pretty soon. As we've been going through this, we've discovered that I've got some. And I'm fine. Like, nothing to be, like, oh my God, to be worried about Brother Carter. No, I'm completely fine. And like a fully functional adult, and I'm going to be just fine. But there's been some issues, I think, that I've had to deal with in the past that haven't really been dealt with that we've discovered here during my time. So I'm just going to be starting that, and I'll keep you all posted on that. I'm very excited about that and about working to really kind of get better and become a better person overall. I'm encouraging everybody, if your mental health is declining, recognize it, own it, and don't be afraid to get some help. I've recognized that my mental health is declining and I need some help, and I'm really looking forward to being on the other side of it. So I love the Hoots podcast. I love all of you, and I cannot wait to be fully interacting with you all, back doing live shows with Josh again in the future. Take care, everybody. It's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan.
This has been the Thoughts of Dericho. You're smarter now, man.